Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report, and this is a little bit of a different version of a Raiders Report mailbag. Coming up here on today's show, Raiders fans are reacting to the breaking news of Christian Wilkins needing another surgery, and he could be out for the season. So all the questions that you're going to see are from our live show on Friday, June 20th, where Raider Nation is live reacting to me, asking me questions about the Wilkins injury. If you do not know Panda Subs, these guys are owned and operated by diehard Raiders fans. So use code Raiders. You're going to get 20% off at pandasubs.com. If you spend over $125, you're going to get free creatine and free shipping in the United States. Let's go to Raider Nation for life. Which defensive tackle should the Raiders get this offseason? With the Wilkins news, you're not going to be able to replace Wilkins with a defensive tackle. The DT that I would throw out there just in terms of a name to consider would be a guy like Quentin Jefferson, and I only say that based on depth, because again, if I can't replace Wilkins, that means everybody else that I have on my team, I want those guys to step up, which means they're bottom of the roster guys. Somebody needs to replace one of them. Let's go out and get a veteran that's got that Pete Carroll connection, that's got a great relationship with guys like Max Crosby, that's been a Raider before. But the number one defensive lineman I would try to go out and get, that's got a Pete Carroll connection, Jadeveon Clowney. Again, Clowney not going to replace Wilkins, but just to add extra talent on that defensive line. Richard Black, we need to sign Clowney if Wilkins gets surgery. I did do a video probably a few weeks ago when the first Wilkins injury news started popping up, and I agree with you. I think Clowney, based on the year that he had in 2019, second best year of his career, according to PFF, when Clowney was with Carroll. And honestly, Clowney's done a solid job being able to get after the quarterback, and clearly Patrick Graham and his defense likes versatilities, and they like those tweeners because Pegues, a little bit of a tweener. Hemingway, a little bit of a tweener. Tyree Wilson, a little bit of a tweener. Jadeveon Clowney is also a little bit of a tweener. Patrick Roche! Bang! Do you think that the Raiders will consider picking up somebody in the defensive backfield? So you mentioned backfield, and I know I went on a whole long tangent rant when we were live. I would say instead of maybe looking at a defensive lineman to replace Wilkins, I just am so confident in Patrick Graham, and I'm so confident in Rob Leonard to work with those defensive guys. Maybe you decide to sign somebody like a Justin Simmons. Maybe you decide to sign a guy like a Julian Blackmon. Or maybe you decide to go out and get a dude like Mike Hilton, or another outside corner like a Rasul Douglas, somebody along those lines. But I do actually think with Wilkins going out, if I was the Raiders, instead of going out and trying to sign a defensive tackle, I would go, all right, I already know that our backfield's a little bit weaker. Free safety, secondary, maybe it would be the route that I would consider. So you know what? I like this. I saw Chugs building this in the background when we were talking about it. I want to know, are you more concerned about the defensive line with you knowing that Christian Wilkins could miss this entire season and needs a second surgery, or the Raiders secondary? That's corners, safeties. Please let me know down below. My answer coming up here in just a second. Despite the injury to Christian Wilkins, I'm still going to sit up here and say that the spot that concerns me a little bit more, it's the secondary, because we still got Max, we still got Malcolm Koonce, we still have a talented defensive line. It's that secondary that concerns me a little bit more, and based on some of the comments that I see, Patrick Rose, Seth Chip Hall, we're all thinking the same way. What up, Locho? Who's the best free agent defensive tackle? They're not great names, and because none of the names are really all that great, what I would say is you should go with somebody that I think can help out your football team the most. And I'll just continue to say Quentin Jefferson, because I think what Quentin Jefferson would bring to this team is that veteran leadership and a great locker room guy, and he would help the development of a John Ulalu. He would help the development of Tonka Hemingway, the development of J.J. Pegues, because Max Crosby, I get it, didn't play defensive tackle, but just knowing Max and talking to Max, one of the players that he has just spoke super highly of his entire career is Quentin Jefferson. And just like when you have a veteran like that, it just helps out your younger rookies understand not only what does it take to be successful on the field, but what it takes to be successful off the field and how to have a long career in the league. That to me is kind of a more important role from a defensive tackle standpoint based on some of the guys that we have. But I'm looking at a list right now of the best DTs, and dude, it's not great. I mean, we're talking about Linval Joseph, Deshaun Williams, Taven Bryan, John Kaminsky, Jonathan Bullard. There's not a lot of good names in the mix there. I see Mo Hurst If it was up to me, I would go out and get Quentin Jefferson. I would also go out and get some Panda Subs, and if you need something that's going to help you get a little bit jacked up, they got some brand new protein, and if you use code Raiders, 20% off, pandasubs.com. That link's again going to be available to y'all down in the comments, down in the description of today's show. They got a brand new premium whey protein isolate, 25 grams of protein, 0 grams of sugar, 110, 120 calories per scoop, and this is unbelievable. We're talking about peanut butter cookie, brownie whip, and oh my goodness, the one that I think low-key I really want to try the most, the honey graham cracker. They're all 3 flavors. They almost look too good to be true, and every time I'm eating Panda Subs, I was going to say I can't just say eating Panda. That's probably illegal in some states, some countries. But anytime I'm having some Panda Subs, you kind of sit there and you're like, there's no way this is actually good for me, right? But I'll also say this. If you're not somebody that wants super sweet protein, I'll be real. I have a sweet tooth, but I also love the protein from Panda Subs. If you're somebody where you're like, what other products do they have? My wife loves the greens. I'm also a big believer in their thermogenics, their fat burners, their nootropics help me stay locked and loaded. One of the things that I'll always get before the NFL draft, some nootropics. I personally don't really think that I need pre-workout, but if you need a little jump start, their products are awesome. And again, it's owned and operated by a diehard Raiders fan. That's why it's code Raiders. That's why it's pandasubs.com. And that's why he's hooking us up with a 20% off offer. And that's why he's been one of my longest sponsors on this show. Because I honestly wonder, if we never sold any Panda Subs, would he stay? He keeps on coming around. Murbad, I appreciate you. What up, Steven Stockgotten? Does Wilkins have to end his career? My fear he never will be 100% again. No, he doesn't have to end his career. Again, based on the conversation that I had yesterday and based on the information that I got late last night, was Wilkins made it very clear to the Raiders he wants to try to play because he believes it's just a pain tolerance issue and he's going to be able to get through it. In terms of him ending his career, no. It's, to me, the bigger risk, if you want to talk about ending a career, the bigger chance of him ending his career is actually trying to play through the injury, and it leads to just whole other complications and way bigger issue, which is why in the video that I did today, I said, if it was up to me, I would have Wilkins shut down for the season, and that sucks to say, but I also think if he goes out there this season, it's not going to be the Christian Wilkins that we're all hoping for. It's probably going to be a lesser version of him, and I just don't want that negative energy to happen, and I could also see him going, you know what, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to try to thug it out, I'm going to try to play, and if the Raiders are winning, maybe you keep it going. If if the Raiders aren't winning, maybe then you sit them out. I just have a hard time believing that Christian Wilkins is going to be able to play a full football season and help us in the playoffs at the caliber that we want him. Because of that, I say shut him down, get him the surgery, and then when we have to pay him freaking $37 million next season or whatever we're going to have to do to restructure it, then let's make sure we're ready to rock and roll, because I also think that the Raiders, not that they're not trying to win this season, but their goal is 2026, 2027. Well, let's make sure that Christian Wilkins is healthy in 2026 and 2027. What up, John? Hey, Mitch, do you think they will restructure Wilkins' contract to help us out for this year and next? I don't know if you moved over that List 5 logo of Wilkins' contract, but the problem with the Wilkins contract is they have technically already restructured it one time. It's just going to come down to money. So this season he makes 18.1 in terms of cap space. 2026 and in 2027, you can see some high values there. But the Raiders have already done a little, finessing of Wilkins' contract, which is why he's got that $9.9 million in the void year. Now, you could potentially add more to that void year. I would guess if they did it, it would be another void year in 2029 and in 2030. But, that means then the Raiders are going to be paying a guy that's not going to be on the team in those years. And I get it. The salary cap's probably going to go up. But if it was up to me, I would honestly really try to restructure Wilkins' contract, or something that you guys wouldn't like to hear, maybe give him some cash up front from Mark Davis. Again, that's not salary cap. That's not our money. You don't have to worry about it. But if Mark's got the cash to lower that cap space, I would say, Mark, go ahead and do it. Blake, what's up, my man? So who would take his place for the season? I think it's going to be a mixture because, again, you're not going to replace Christian Wilkins. It would be like if Max Crosby goes down, you're not going to be able to replace Max Crosby with anybody because Max Crosby's and Christian Wilkins's don't grow on trees. I think it would be a multitude of Lecky Fotu, Jonnu Lalu, J.J. Pegues, Tonka Hemingway, and, Adam Butler. They're all going to have to play bigger roles. You might even have to consider putting out Zach Carter out there. But as it stands right now, I got to be very clear on this. It's not that Wilkins is done for the season. It is simply that I know for a fact now, where at first I did not know where exactly Wilkins stood. I know for a fact now that Wilkins will have to get another surgery. It's just a matter of, is he going to get it now, or is he going to try to thug it out, play through the season, and get it at the end of next season? Because I know that he could try to play. He really could, but it's going to be a team effort all around. Rebel, put Wilkins in injured reserve, then sign another defensive tackle to restructure his contract. I knew it from yesterday. I will say this. I did see your comment on the post that I put out today where you were like, I knew it. And there was a few questions during yesterday's live show that somebody asked something about Wilkins, and I sat there and I'm like, all right, I have to answer this question from an honest perspective because it was a super chat, and when people send in their hard-earned money, I always want to be able to give, my honest answer to that. But at the exact same time, I could feel myself really tiptoeing around the question because I didn't want to give away the information that I had because I wanted to release it this morning on the video that I did. But you weren't the only one, let's say, that DM'd me or at least said something of like, is something going on with Christian Wilkins? And I've actually had a few other people that cover the Raiders reach out to me into my DMs. They know who they are. If they want to address themselves, they can. But they also confirmed to me if everything that I talked about today was true. So it's been an interesting day here for the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, I will say this. If anything new ends up coming out around Wilkins, I will put an update out on Instagram and Twitter. I'll put an update out on the Raiders Report YouTube channel. It's what I do. And if you don't already know that you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Mitchell Renz 365, please do so. I'm also going to warn you this because I got a comment yesterday. My wife, Alex, has been sharing, and believe it or not, she does tag me, and she does invite me to collab on Instagram, and she's been sharing a lot of our wedding stuff. If you don't want to see my wedding stuff right now, do not give me a follow on IG. If you're okay with seeing my life outside of Raiders, then please give me a follow. But we had a comment yesterday. It was like, I don't care about your wedding. I only care about Raiders. Oh, here's the cool part. Alex did give the Raiders a shout-out in our vows. Not a good shout-out, but she did give them a shout-out. If you're looking for nonstop Raiders coverage all season long, and it's 100% free, hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications. But I will say this. I hope Christian Wilkins is healthy, and I hope Christian Wilkins can get it going. The problem is doctors want him to get a surgery. Doctors want him to get shut down for the season.